let's create a span tag and give it a class of artist, if I can spell it. Alright, so that's going to be empty. We're going to insert that with jQuery, and then we're going to have the song title. So span class title. Okay, so that'll do it for the audio info. Next we want our volume, and this is going to be an input, and this is actually going to be an HTML5 input type range. It's going to have the range type. So we'll give this an ID, volume, and again the type will be range, which will give us a kind of a slider. And then we want to set our minimum and maximum. So the minimum will be 0, and then the max will be 10. And the initial value, let's say 4. Actually, I don't need to do that. HTML5. Alright, so after the volume, we'll have a line break, give us some room, and then we'll have our buttons. So I'm going to create a div with the ID of buttons. And then I'm going to put the buttons inside of a span tag. Okay, so our first button will have the ID of for previous. And this is going to look pretty ugly before we style it. Okay, so previous, and then the next button will have our play button. Can't type. Okay, and then next we're going to have the pause button, but initially we're going to hide it because we don't want the play and the pause shown at the same time. Basically, when you click the play button, it'll turn into the pause button, and vice versa. So pause. Now we need our stop button. And our next button. Okay, so that should do it for our buttons. Now we're going to be floating some of these buttons, so we want to have a we want to clear it. Okay, so I'm going to actually create a class to clear floated divs or whatever, called clearfix. Okay, so we just want to put that under any elements that are floated. Alright, so next we're going to have a div with the ID of tracker, which will basically be the progress bar and the duration. So let's just, that will be this area here, including the bar and the time. Alright, and this is the buttons div, and our volume, and our info. Alright, so inside of the tracker div, we're going to have the progress bar, so create a div with the ID. Actually, I want to do camel case here. Alright, so the progress bar div is basically going to include just the empty image, okay, so like this, and then we're going to create another div, well, actually a span inside of that that'll represent the blue that it gets filled with. Okay, so inside here I'm going to put a span, and I'm going to give it an ID of just progress. Okay, and then under the progress bar, we want to create a div for the duration. Actually, I want this to be a span, not a div. I want it inline. And if you don't know, a div element is a block element, and span is a inline element. And basically, the difference is with a div, when you create a div, it goes to the next line. All right. So after this tracker div, whatever you put after it is going to go on a new line. Span will go just right next to it, inline. All right, so that's why in some places I'm using span and others div. All right, so we're going to have some floating going on here, so we're going to paste the clear fix again, and I want the clear fix to go right under the tracker div. All right, and then finally we want our playlist, our list of songs, which is going to be a UL, the ID of playlist, and we're also going to give it a class of hidden. Alright, so in here we're going to have our list of songs, basically going to be inside of li tags. Alright, and each li is going to have a couple custom attributes. Okay, so we're going to have song, we're going to have cover, artist, and that's it. Alright, and then in here we'll have the name of the song. So the first song is called Paper Cut .mp3. Alright, so each song will have this format. Alright, so for the song attribute, it's going to be the name of the file. Okay, so let's go into our media and paper cut. So I'm going to just copy this whole thing and paste it right into the song attribute. Alright, now the cover is basically just going to be the name of the file. Okay, so if we go to images, covers, we don't have it. Alright, so I'm going to have to just copy the images over. Might as well grab all of them. Okay, so the name of the cover is cover1.jpg. Now, we're not going to include the entire path here. Same thing with the song. We're not going to put the media slash, because we're going to implement that inside of the JavaScript so that this can be nice and clean, and we just have the name of the song and the cover and the artist. Okay, so in here we just need to say cover1.jpg, and then for artist, it's just going to be Linkin Park. All right, so that's basically how we're going to format our songs. And instead of typing all this out, I'm just going to paste it in. Make this a little shorter. Okay, so let me just indent these. All right. So basically you can put whatever songs you want into this list. If you wanted to take this application a step further, you could build some kind of back end where you could actually log in and add songs through some kind of interface that would just create this HTML. But that's obviously beyond the scope of this series. But that's really it for the HTML. We can save this and take a look at it. Okay, so this is what it looks like unstyled. Very ugly. You can see that there's no data up here because we're going to be inserting that through jQuery. This is the slider. This is the default look of an HTML5 range input type. Okay, so we will be turning this into this. Alright, we'll also have the image. So that's it for the HTML. In the next chapter we will get into making this look a lot better.